Today we will talk about a prison escape case. Speaking of prison breaks, we will associate some well-known film and television works. For example, it was released in 1994 by Tim Robbins and Morgan, the movie The Shawshank Redemption starring Freeman. There is also a 2005 release, Prison Break, from the TV series starring Wentworth Miller, and other classic films. We were all deeply impressed. Film and television works are inspired by reality. In reality, there are also many cases of successful prison escapes. For example, we talked about it before. Together, the Alcatraz prison escape that took place in the 1960s. Several prisoners were transferred from a prison surrounded by the sea, successfully escaped. However, these successful cases do not happen in film and television dramas. It happened in the early prisons with outdated equipment. Today, the security facilities are very advanced. It is almost impossible to carry out another prison break. However, the prison escape that we are going to talk about today is going to be discussed not only in well-equipped modern prisons. It has happened in the 180 years since its establishment, in a prison where there has never been a prison escape. He is the Clinton prison escape. This case occurred in 2015. The time is very close. The location is located in Dannemora, New York, in the eastern United States. Dannemora is affiliated with Clinton County, New York. It is a border town with a population of over 4,000. The town is located on the border between the United States and Canada. It is only a few tens of kilometers away. In Dannemora, it houses a historic prison. It's called Clinton Prison. It was founded in 1844. There is a mountain near Clinton Prison. It's called Mount Lion. The purpose of the decision to build the prison here was that year. It was to facilitate the prisoners to go to the mountains to mine. He worked as a laborer until 1877. The prisoners have been harvesting for more than 30 years. The mine is finally mined. This prison has survived. As the number of prison inmates grows, the original prison can no longer accommodate so many people. So in 1887, Clinton Prison underwent a renovation and expansion. Many new cells and new facilities were built. The walls of the prison were raised. The walls of the entire prison were as high as 18 meters. It is equivalent to 4 or 5 stories high. Due to the improvement of prison specifications, it has also become a prison for felons. It has world-class security, protective equipment, and management system. Nearly 3,000 prisoners were guarded by nearly 1,000 guards. It is also known as the largest and most secure prison in New York State. Want to escape from this prison? The possibility is almost zero. However, in 2015, 2 prisoners managed to escape. So what happened that day? How did these 2 people turn the impossible into possible? Next, let's push back to June 6, 2015. June 6, 2015. It was a Saturday. However, there are 6 more things that happened that day. It was 5:30 in the morning. Prison guards at Clinton Prison. The routine roll call work began every morning. The cells at Clinton Prison are divided into several areas. Except for the cells in the normal area, there is also a special area called the honor zone. The cells in the honor area are different from those in the normal area. The cell space here is relatively large, and each prisoner uses a separate cell. Besides, prisoners of the honor zone, you can also use the TV at designated times each day. The phone even has a kitchen, shower, studio, etc. The facilities here are the best in the entire prison. Inmates at Clinton Prison. Most of them are felons sentenced to life imprisonment. Therefore, Being able to live in the honor zone is every prisoner's dream. Only in the past few years, no prison discipline and performance. Only excellent people can live here. Cells 23 and 24 of the Honor District. It is two adjacent cells on the fourth floor. The man who lived in one of them was named Matt. Born in 1966. He was 49 years old. He was born in 1998. Kidnapped and murdered the 72-year-old former boss. And sentenced to prison. The person who lives next door is named Sweet. Born in 1980. He was 35 years old. He was convicted of the murder of a police officer in 2002 and sentenced to prison. It was early this morning. The prison guards are done. Routine roll call work in ordinary cells. The roll call of the cell in the honor area began. I saw the prison guards come to the door of cells 23 and 24. The names of Matt and Sweet were called out to the roll call, but there was no answer. The prison guard raised his head, seeing that the people inside hadn't gotten up yet. I was a little annoyed, so he patted the iron railing of the cell hard. Signal not to sleep. Quickly got up and took roll call. After the prison guards called 2 or 3 times in succession, the people on the bed were still motionless. He took out a flashlight pinned to his waist. Take a look in the cell. Only then did I realize that something was wrong. So he opened the cell door and checked it. It turned out that 2 prisoners were missing. So the prison guard quickly used the walkie-talkie. Report to the control center. The entire Clinton prison was placed on level 1 alert. All prison doors are locked. All police officers were dispatched. Every corner of the prison was carefully searched. After searching to no avail, the prison warden immediately reported to the governor of New York. More than 450 police officers were then involved in the search. Key intersections for possible escape routes for prisoners. Barricades were set up. All passing vehicles must undergo strict inspections. To all residents of the town where the prison is located, conduct door-to-door searches. Dozens of helicopters patrolled the air without interruption. Soon the media reported on the incident. Residents of local towns are also in the first place. I knew the information for a while. However, because the person who escaped was a felon, to evade pursuit, it may cause harm to nearby residents. However, New York State responded quickly after the incident. The search was very intense. Such, not only can it make it more difficult for 2 prisoners to escape, at the same time, it can also appease the panic of local residents. Meanwhile, an investigation into the escape is also ongoing. Let's take a look. How the 2 prisoners managed to escape. Investigators are in the honor zone where the 2 prisoners are located. The bottom of the bed in cells 23 and 24. A neatly cut rectangular hole was found separately. This location was originally a vent. There is an iron mountain on it. A hole of this size is enough for a person to pass through. After drilling out of this hole, it is a narrow corridor filled with various pipes. This picture was released by the police. Photos of 2 fugitives after escaping from prison. The cell where the 2 are located is on the 4th floor. After they drill out of the cut vent, then climb down through the gap in the corridor, arrived at the basement floor. On the basement floor, there is a steam pipe with a diameter of 60 centimeters. They cut a hole in the pipe. The diameter of this steam pipe, enough for 1 person to crawl. They were on their way off. A provocative note was also posted next to it. A smiling face is drawn on it, and wrote a sentence, "Have a nice day." After entering the pipe, climb a few hundred meters. You can reach a vertically upward maintenance shaft. There is a ladder on the side of this hoistway. Climb up through this ladder. push open the cover of the manhole to successfully reach the ground. And the location that came out was already outside the prison. It is 120 meters away from the high walls of the prison. Let's take a look at the floor plan. This position, it is the location where the cell of the honor zone for the 2 prisoners is located. This position, it was an underground police road where 2 prisoners escaped to the ground. The location of the underground police road, it is 120 meters away from the high walls of the prison. There are 2 sentry towers not far from the exit of the police road. They are Outpost Tower 1 and Outpost Tower number 2. According to the confession of a prison guard, the night before the crime, that is, at 10:30 p.m. on June 5th, I did a routine evening roll call. Certainly, Matt and Sweet were in their cells that night. From this, it can be inferred the escape time of the 2. It was from about 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. the next morning, due to low visibility outside the prison at night. And there has never been a prison escape in this prison. Therefore, the guards on the 2 watchtowers slackened that night. Neither of the 2 prisoners who escaped from the shaft were found. With the gradual understanding of the case, investigators want to escape from this heavily guarded prison. The 2 of them rely on their own strength. It is absolutely impossible to do. There must be someone else who helped them. Clinton Prison is a veteran prison. There has never been a prison escape in nearly 180 years. It relies on standardized and strict management. All prisoners and outside visits, letters, and telephones will be strictly reviewed. Investigators question Matt and Sweet. Communication records with the outside world. Nothing suspicious was found. Therefore, the possibility of assisting in the escape through outsiders is ruled out. Then there is only one possibility. It is that there are moles inside the prison to help them. Thereupon, an investigation into prison insiders was launched. There is an external employee of the prison named Mitchell, 51 years old. He worked as a tailor's instructor at Clinton Prison. Every day, he would arrange some tailoring work for the prisoners and teaching some tailoring-related skills. A number of inmates reported to investigators escaped from prison with this Mitchell. There are always some unclear relationships. Mitchell always used various reasons. Call Sweet to the office alone. And this situation is not once or twice. The relationship between the 2 is very ambiguous. Mitchell's appearance is ordinary. After all, he is 51 years old. Therefore, the gossip news of the 2 had already spread in prison. It has become a topic of conversation after dinner. Except for Sweet. Someone saw another Matt who had escaped from prison. He also went in and out of Mitchell's office alone many times. After the investigators learned such clues, it is no coincidence that such a situation is thought to be. Immediately found this Mitchell. Mitchell saw the police find him. It's also refreshing. Immediately told the truth. It turned out that this Mitchell and her husband, they were all employees of the Clinton Prison. The 2 also met at work. We also meet after work. Time diluted the marital relationship between the 2. It gives outsiders an opportunity. All of the prisoners in Clinton Prison are male prisoners. Mitchell worked as a tailoring instructor here. Loved and cared for by Sweet and Matt. Mitchell gradually developed a crush on them. He hadn't experienced this feeling for a long time. Matt and Sweet saw this. Just continued to launch a love attack on him. Soon Mitchell was unable to resist the offensive. Fell in love. And even had a relationship with them. Matt and Sweet took advantage of this opportunity. Crazy provoking the relationship between Mitchell and her husband. Point out how unhappy Mitchell's marriage was. How boring her life is. If Mitchell helps them both escape from prison, they will take out her husband first, then smuggle her to Mexico, give her a new life. For the two of them, the 51-year-old Mitchell was moved. He did it willingly. The two provided hacksaw blades, axes, chisels, hole punchers, screwdrivers, and other tools. He hid these tools in raw meat, freeze in the refrigerator, then take the frozen meat to the prison refrigerator. Finally, Matt and Sweet took out the frozen meat. Swaggering back to the cell, they used this method to evade the inspection of the prison guards, successfully bring the tool back to the cell. Besides, Mitchell also offered it to the two: patrol schedule for prison guards, and key information such as the prison's pipeline distribution map. As the investigation deepens, investigators found that in addition to Mitchell, there were others in prison who offered them help. Matt is very fond of painting, is a well-known artist in prison. Due to outstanding performance, he was assigned to the honor zone of the prison. There was a special studio for him to paint. Matt has painted many good works. He especially liked to paint some celebrity portraits. Soon, a prison guard named Palmer couldn't stand the pressure, admitted to investigators. He liked Matt's paintings very much. Therefore, I brought some screwdrivers, pliers, and other tools privately. Exchanged these tools for Matt's paintings. He thought Matt was just using these tools to frame the picture. I didn't expect it to be used to escape from prison. It is because of these tools. Just let Matt and Sweet. Little by little, the escape road was opened. For this prison break, Matt and Sweet, it has been prepared for more than half a year. They use hacksaw blades, sawed off the ventilation iron barrier at the bottom of the bed. Every night, they drill out to explore. Prison guards after a routine roll call at 10:30 p.m. Patrols are also carried out every 2 hours. From time to time, I will look into the cell twice. To prevent detection, Matt and Sweet stuff the quilt with foreign objects. Hold the quilt up, pretending to sleep with a stuffy head, visible due to dim lighting at night. They use such a simple method. Deceived the patrolling prison guards again and again. Soon they explored one, the way out through the steam pipe. So I used a small hacksaw blade. It took several months to saw a hole. In winter, due to the operation of heating equipment, the steam pipe is filled with hot steam. Impassable, so they chose to do it in June. When the steam pipe is not working, implement a prison break. They climbed hundreds of meters along the steam pipes. Then it comes to the ground through the maintenance pipe. According to the original plan, Mijo will drive the car, pick them up at their agreed place. The two also gave Michiao 2 tablets in advance. Let him secretly give it to her husband. This way the two of them can kill him more easily. However, that night, due to Mitchell's many years of affection for her husband, I couldn't bear to give him pills. I was also overly nervous. Leads to the onset of anxiety disorders. Her husband took her to the hospital. Therefore, it did not go as planned. Drive to pick up Matt and Sweet. After the two came out of the police road that night, it was found that there was no car to answer. You can only escape on foot. Mitchell's missed appointment was something they didn't expect. According to Mitchell's account, they only have Plan A. There is no Plan B. Mitchell's help was missing. The difficulty of these two people escaping is infinitely increasing. Clinton Prison, although there are many modern monitoring equipment. However, unfortunately, these devices are used to monitor the inside of the prison. There are only a few cameras outside the prison. Therefore, at the time of the incident, there was no capture of Matt and Sweet's escape. I don't know which direction they ran away. According to the original plan, they would flee to Mexico. However, this is the northern part of the United States. It was too far from Mexico. It's very, very close to leaving Canada. Mitchell's car is missing. The two may change their plans. Since the direction of the two escapes is unknown, it has made it very difficult for the police to pursue them. So on the first day, the police made little progress. The day after the incident, the then governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, announced a reward of $100,000 to those who can provide useful clues. The police know, the longer it drags on, the more detrimental it is to pursue the emperor. So in the days that followed, they put in more police forces. The search has been intensified. A net was laid out. As a result, the two who fled did not dare to take the main road at all, nor dare to contact anyone, because after the news was broadcast, the residents of nearby towns have long been on guard. There are police officers on patrol everywhere. If you forcibly break in to find food, it may not be a good result. So the two really had nowhere to escape. I can only escape to the forest. On June 22nd, the police received a call to the police. The boar name was Stockville. On this day, he took his dog hunting. Get ready to head to the hunting lodge deep in the forest. When he arrived at the cabin, I saw a suspicious man running away in a hurry. After he entered the cabin, I found that the contents had been touched. Some food is eaten. Even the wine was drunk. The police then arrived at the hunting lodge. DNA is extracted from food. Sure enough, the DNA belongs to Matt and Sweet. Analysis of the situation in the cabin. The two have been here for at least 24 hours. The police claimed he saw only one person running away. Therefore, it can be inferred both were in the cabin at first. Later, they parted ways. Each fled for their lives. There is such an important clue. The police immediately searched for the police force, deployed to the vicinity of the hut. Sure enough, for days later, the police are in the forest more than 60 kilometers from the border. Found a horse running away. He was killed by a special attack. Multiple traces of insect bites were found on his body, blisters and abrasions. It seems that he suffered a lot during the more than 20 days of his escape. 2 days later, another fugitive, Sweet, just a few kilometers from the border. He was shot and injured by a patrol policeman. Survived. In his backpack, some tools were found. Insect repellent spray map as well as snacks. Soon the media published information about the capture of the fugitives. People took to the streets and cheered. They finally don't have to worry about being afraid. Their efforts in this police manhunt expressed gratitude and affirmation. February 2016. Sweet was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Serve a combined sentence with a previous life sentence, and fined $80,000. Taylor instructor Mitchell was sentenced to 7 years in prison and a fine of $6,000. Prison guard Palmer was sentenced to 6 months in prison and a fine of $5,000. At this point, the Clinton escape case came to an end. New York State Police. It shows us a textbook search. 2 prisoners were also punished as they deserved. It is extremely difficult to meet people in reality. Omission of any link. It will lead to the loss of previous efforts. Because even if he has left this prison, everything may just be the beginning.